In the profound silence of our neural architecture, where a single ion crossing a membrane can shift a decision, we find our true blueprint. To understand science pushed too far, we analyze, grasping at the void, where human neurobiology is stripped of environmental anchors. Imagine consciousness disconnected from 3.5 billion years of evolutionary feedback, losing the boundary between self and world. This isn't just philosophy. It's extreme isolation reality. The brain, deprived of external input, consumes its own internal data. Pushing science too far means white room experiments. Absence of color, sound, and interaction causes hyperplasticity in the brain. Dendrites, neuron branches, stretch out desperately searching for any signal to maintain the self's coherence. This is the hunger of the mind, proving we are not isolated islands, but nodes in a vast, interconnected energy network. If the brain is a receiver, the experiment that goes too far cuts the antenna. Our perception of reality is a controlled hallucination, a best guess by the thalamus to protect us from danger. When scientists bypassed this thalamic gate, they found not higher reality, but the raw, unprocessed noise of the universe. This noise is mathematically chaotic, and the human mind, which craves patterns, fractures under its weight. Consider the governor within your heart and mind, the vagus nerve and prefrontal cortex acting as a dual brake system. In experiments with extreme physical exertion under hypnosis, humans exerted forces that would literally tear their tendons. Science went too far by proving our physical limits are mental fabrications, designed to prevent us from destroying our own chassis. We are capable of lifting cars and running for days, but the brain, as ultimate risk assessment officer, forbids it. This raises a haunting question. Is our ego simply a safety feature? Is the I just a user-friendly interface? As we delve deeper into quantum metaphors, every choice is a collapse of a wave function in your neuron's microtubule structures. When we force these collapses through extreme external pressure, we are overclocking a biological processor. The heat generated metaphorically as cortisol and adrenaline, literally as metabolic waste leads to a thermal shutdown or burnout. But the twist is deeper. Burnout is a sophisticated defense mechanism, a forced hibernation preventing neurocellular death. We are built to survive our own ambitions. Science took it too far, treating the human spirit as a linear equation, forgetting that we are nonlinear chaotic systems that thrive on the edge of order and randomness. To understand the mind spark, one must realize the spark exists because of friction between desires and limitations. If we removed all limits, the spark would become a blinding, destructive fire. We see this in the tragic history of early neurosurgery and the ice pick era, where the quest to fix the soul silenced humanity. These scientists weren't just exploring. They were colonizing the mind without a map. Today, we stand on the threshold of new neurotechnology, where Neuralink and similar interfaces threaten to bridge biological thought and digital speed. Are we repeating the mistake of taking science too far? If we connect our slow, deep contemplation to rapid-fire internet impulse, do we lose the slow-wave wisdom that defines our species? The experiment is ongoing, and you are a participant. Your dopamine loops are being re-engineered in a global, unmonitored experiment on human attention. The science isn't happening in a lab anymore. It's happening in your pocket. The limit is pushed daily. We trade our cognitive depth for algorithmic breadth. We are becoming flatland thinkers in a multidimensional universe. But here's the ultimate illumination. Your brain's neuroplasticity is so powerful, it searches for ways to preserve the spark. You are here, watching this, because your brain is seeking the signal in the noise. It is seeking the why behind the how. This is the ultimate victory of biology over cold, hard data. We are more than the sum of our synapses. We are the observers of the experiment, not just the subjects. To expand, we confront the ghost and the machine experiments. In the 1970s, neurofeedback was pushed to psychological fragmentation. Researchers thought visualizing brainwaves meant control. But the more we focus on the mechanics of thinking, the less we are able to actually think. This is the scientific cost of overanalysis. We tried to quantify the soul into bits and bytes, forgetting the observer effect. Measuring a human changes who they are. A hypermonitored state isn't a human, but a system under stress. We must also consider time dilation experiments, where pilots and astronauts faced high G forces and sensory distortion. They found that in moments of extreme terror, the brain's frame rate increases. Time doesn't slow. The brain writes more information. Science took this too far by trying to induce this high frame rate permanently through stimulants, leading to adrenal fatigue and permanent scarring of neural pathways associated with patience and long-term planning. We burn our future for present intensity. And what of experiments on social contagion, proving emotions spread through a population like a virus? This is the neurobiology of the mob. Manipulating frequencies and visual stimuli induced collective anxiety or euphoria.
This is the most dangerous experiment of all because it removes the individual from the equation and treats humanity as a monolithic biomass. If we lose our individual spark, we lose the ability to correct the course of the species. We must fight to remain outliers in a world of averages. Think of your consciousness as a fractal. The deeper you go, the more complexity you find. Science tried to solve the fractal, but you cannot solve infinity. You can only witness it. This is why we must approach the mind with a sense of scientific reverence rather than scientific dominance. When we try to dominate the mind, we end up with the empty vessel syndrome, where the subject is physically alive but the spark has fled. We see this in the aftermath of extreme behavioral conditioning. We are not just Pavlov's dogs. We are the architects of the bells. We are the only creatures on Earth that can choose to ignore our instincts for the sake of an idea. That is our quantum leap. That is the mind spark. It is the ability to say no to the biological governor when a higher purpose is at stake. But that no must be used sparingly or the system collapses. We are currently living through the Great Disconnection, an experiment where we have more information than ever but less meaning. We are drowning in data but starving for wisdom. The experiment that took science too far is the one that assumed information was the same as intelligence. It is not. Intelligence is the ability to ignore the irrelevant. Wisdom is knowing what is irrelevant in the first place. As we navigate the labyrinth of our own neurochemistry, let us remember that the most complex experiment is simply being. Every morning you wake up and your brain reassembles yourself from the fragments of memory and the signals of the body. You are performing a miracle of biological computation. Do not take it for granted. Do not let the scientists of the mundane tell you that you are just a collection of chemicals. You are the chemical reaction that became aware of itself. You are the universe looking back at its own reflection. And that reflection is not a static image. It is a moving, breathing, evolving masterpiece. We are the pioneers of the inner space, and the map is still being drawn. Let us draw it with courage, with ethics, and with an unwavering commitment to the spark. The experiment continues, but this time, we are the ones in charge of the lab. We are the ones who decide how far is too far. We are the ones who define the limit. And as we find that limit, we find ourselves. As we wrap up this massive exploration into the limits of our being, I want you to take a deep breath and feel the central governor of your own mind keeping you steady, keeping you present. You are a masterpiece of biological engineering, a quantum computer wrapped in stardust and stories. If this journey into the dark and light of the human psyche has moved the needle of your understanding, then we have succeeded. Science is not a destination. It is a way of walking through the dark with a candle. Don't let the candle go out by trying to turn it into a supernova. Respect the limits and you will find the power to transcend them when it truly matters. Before you go, think about this. What part of yourself is truly you? And what part is just a survival program? It's a question that might take a lifetime to answer, and that's the beauty of it. Thank you for being part of the MindSpark Science community, where we don't just look at the world, we look at the way we look at the world. Your support is the energy that keeps this signal broadcasting. If you want to dive even deeper into the mysteries of the cosmos and the cranium, make sure you have subscribed and turned on the notification bell. Every like, every share, and every comment fuels our research and helps us bring more high-level scientific discourse to the world. We are building a network of thinkers, a collective consciousness of curiosity. Share this video with someone who thinks they've reached their limit. Maybe it's just their brain trying to protect their greatness. Comment limitless below if you made it to the end of this deep dive. Let's start a conversation in the comments about the ethics of future science. How far is too far for you? I'll be down there responding to your theories and questions. Until next time, keep your neurons firing, your questions growing, and your mind sparking. This is MindSpark Science signing off.